for joining Book Drive, presented by Dandelion Breeze Audio, planting seed while you read. On a patterned path, 3 little mice scurried hurriedly along. One had a large chunk of cheese, another had a broken piece of cracker, and the other had sunflower nuts wedged in his mouth. They were carrying their finds back to their home under the widow's front porch, where an entry hole led right into the widow woman's house. From there they scampered up the carpeted staircase to the upper attic in the house. Once in the attic, they spit their findings onto the large dusty floor underneath an old dresser that no one had ever used anymore. Out of the dresser came 10 other teensy-weensy little mice to feed on the food the older mice had found and brought home. After each one had eaten, their bellies nearly bursting, they rolled on one side, and some turned up their belly to lay, rest, and take another long nap till it was time to eat again. Days in the attic were such fun. The older mice would always leave early in the morning to go out searching for that day's meal, while the little mice would continue sleeping. Once late morning would come around, the little mice would come out and play. They would jump, climb, roll, and scamper through all the upper attic, along the floor walls, up the old dusty torn curtains. They would sit and peer out the glass window pane as raindrops would wash down the outside of the glass. Except in one little corner of one of the window panes, there was a tiny little break that was big enough for the teensy-weensy little mice to go in and out, giving them access to the rooftop of the home. There they could bask in the sunshine, and when a wind would blow by, they scurry back in as to not lose their footing and fall off the rooftop. Today, as they were all fast sleeping after eating such a fine meal of cheese, crackers, and sunflower seeds, the door to the attic lifted with a spring, and dust filtered up into the air, causing the mice to startle and run. They all leaped and bounded into whatever little hiding place they could squeeze into, and reached before the eyes of the dark head of hair that was emerging up through the attic door that came up through the floor. It was not a door like you walk through to get from your bedroom or into your bathroom. Once the eyes of the dark head of hair came into full view, the mice seen that it was someone they'd never seen before in this house. And it sure was not the old widow woman from downstairs. The little mice did not know what to do, so they stayed tucked away out of sight, some holding their breath, as if that would keep them from being found. Others closed their eyes, as if that would keep them from being seen. The dark head of hair stepped fully up onto the attic floor, and there stood a tall but short childlike form. I say tall because to a mouse sitting in a hole by the corner of the floor, this person was tall, but short because there are people whom are much, much taller than this short form that stood in the room. After the little person looked around and began picking up old things laying around the room, as if looking for something, the mice wondered what could this person be trying to find. Then they heard the small person begin speaking as if someone else were in the attic too, but there was no other person up there. All of a sudden, little Pin Mouse ran across the corner of the room and down the hole in the other corner of the wall. The person saw him, and this person let out a small but then stopped, took in a deep breath, and went on searching the room. The mice were afraid. They were not sure what this person was up to. but it was disturbing their home they'd come to love and make comfortable. The attic kept them from the cold winter outdoors and out of the hot, hot sunshine in the summer months. Fall and spring were the mice's favorite time of year because it was not too hot or not too cold, and they could run and scamper and play and never tire. But today was a hot, hot day. That's why once they ate their meal, they slept trying to keep cool. And now they had an intruder. One of the older mice crawled through the walls to the lower level of the old widow woman's house to see if he could tell what was happening. Once he got to the lowest level that brought him back down to the ground, he seen a moving van in the driveway, and burly men were loading up boxes and trunks and chairs and all sorts of things, carrying them to the moving van. As each man carried a box or a chair, the lower level floor was becoming empty, as if no one lived there any longer. He heard the voices of some ladies in the kitchen. They were packing up boxes of dishes and silverware and all sorts of other things, wrapping them in paper and laying them gently into a box, and taping up the box and writing on the outside of the box the contents of the box. This enabled the men loading the van to know how to stack and store the boxes, so when they got to the moving destination, they'd know what rooms to put all the boxes in. Quickly, Pin Mouse ran back up the wall boards to reach back into the attic. Once there, he seen that the little person in the attic had already left, but in their place was 3 more persons packing up the contents of the attic. Even the dresser they used as their house. It was being taken apart, first the mirror, then the drawers, and all the comfy contents of linens and other clothing that had been left in it was being tossed into a plastic bag. Though the mice did not know the bag was a trash bag to be thrown away. You see, mice chew up pretty things like linen and other items, making their nest, and us people, well, we don't want the mess of what the mice make in our things because it is dirty, nasty, and torn, so we just have to throw it out. Once all the people were gone out of the attic, one by one each mice started to poke his or her head out to see if it was clear to come out and play. Each mice carefully and slowly emerged from his or her hiding place, and when all had met in the middle of the floor, because there was no dresser to climb into any longer, and all the loud moving and boxing up clothes and dishes downstairs had ended, and there was nothing but silence now. Looking as if each mice was lost, the older one began speaking, saying, "It's all right now. I've searched out the lower floor, and everything is gone, including the little widow woman. I don't know what happened to her or why they took everything, but I believe we will be okay." As the night grew dark, the mice scurried around trying to find where to sleep. Some found a tossed pillow in the corner that must have gotten dropped, but what really happened is it was left because it already had a mouse hole eaten into it, and the moving van did not want to take damaged pillows to the new home where they were moving the elderly widow woman. Others of the mice found a box filled with trash items that had been left where the people cleaned out cupboards and cabinets of old papers and towels and things that were of no need any longer. As each mouse found a new place to rest for the night, they each one wondered what would come tomorrow. The light began drifting through the windows where curtains once blocked the light. The mice began waking up one by one on this early, early morning. A few moments later they heard noises downstairs again. Wondering again what must be going on, Titmouse again scurried down through the walls to the lower level and found a moving van in the driveway. But this time it was different people moving around, carrying boxes and furniture and dishes and things back into the house. The mice wondered, "What is this?" Titmouse leaped and jumped up the carpeted staircase, making his way back into the attic to tell his mouse family. They all were excited to see what this meant. A dark head of hair poked a look up through the attic door, but was not so interested in the room there. They just lowered the attic door back down to the floor as it screeched shut, and a small cloud of dust filtered through the air again. The mice all waited until the noise downstairs quieted before they came out to look for today's food. Once they heard the calm in the air, one by one the 3 bigger mice came down the carpeted staircase and darted around each nook and corner of the lower level of the house, searching what new thing had happened down there. The floors were covered with furniture again. Throw carpets were scattered around the floors. There were chairs to climb on, and the older mouse even found a paper plate of leftover sandwich and potato chips. Apparently, while the people downstairs were unloading and unpacking all the boxes, they must have taken a break to eat lunch. So the mice did not have to go far today to find their meal. They all grabbed some food and scampered back up the carpeted staircase up into the attic and shared their finding with all the other 10 little mice. As time went on, the people downstairs came to live in the house every day, and so the mice never had to leave the house like when the old widow woman lived there, for she did not eat much, and the mice would have to travel out of the house to find food. But now these people who lived in the house had kids, a dog, a cat, and food was plenty, though the mice had to be cautious where they walked, for the cat would swat a paw at them and try to catch them, and the dog sometimes barked at them. Luckily, the family downstairs fed the cat so well that he never really wanted to hurt the mice. He was just playing with them, though true cats should be good mousers, as the people call them. That means they catch the mice so as to not have house mice in your home. Mice are very messy and cause to have dirty spots around the house. One thing that will help keep mice from hoarding around your home is to keep your room picked up of toys. Place your dirty clothes in the clothes hamper so they are washed regular, and do not leave food in your rooms on any of the floors or open boxes of food laying around. That is what mice like. And also, when Mom or Dad say, "Take out the trash, take out the trash," then you should do so readily as to not have that as an enticement for mice to come play in your house. Eventually, the new family that moved into the old widow woman's house cleaned up all the rooms, including the attic, and the mice family had to move out, just like the old widow woman. To where did they move? No one really knows, because mice try to stay hid, so you don't always see them readily. But if ever you do, then it probably means something around your house needs to have a cleaning, or you need to get a cat that is a good mouser. The end. This has been a Fallen Whispers, trademark and copyright 2003 short story, copyright June 30th, 2022.
See you next time on Book Drive, a Dandelion Breeze audio presentation, planting seed while you read.